There are leaders who are losing before they ever walk into the room, not because they lack skill, not because they lack experience, not because they don't care. They're losing because the conversation in their head is already beating them down before they ever open their mouth. And here's the truth. You cannot lead people with confidence if your own thoughts are dragging you by the collar. Today, I want to show you how to reprogram your mind so you can lead with more clarity, composure, and influence. Not theory, not fluff, but practical. Because at High Achievement Center, we make emotional intelligence practical. Your subconscious mind is not magic. It is not some mysterious thing floating around in the clouds. It is a recording system. What you keep hearing, you start receiving. What you keep receiving, you start believing. What you keep believing, you start speaking. What you keep speaking, you start doing. That is why negative self-talk is dangerous, because it does not stay in your head. It leaks into your leadership. It shows up in how you walk into meetings. It shows up in how you handle conflict. It shows up in your tone. It shows up in your confidence. It shows up in the way you avoid the conversation you already know you need to have. That voice says, don't say anything. Don't challenge them. They won't listen anyway. You're not ready. You're not respected. And if you do not interrupt that voice, eventually you start leading from it. That is a problem. Everybody has negative thoughts. The issue is not that the thought showed up. The issue is when you sign the contract. A thought can knock on the door. That does not mean you have to invite it in, feed it dinner, and let it sleep in the master bedroom. You have to learn to separate a thought from the truth. A thought may say, I'm not ready, but the truth may be, I need to prepare. A thought may say, they don't respect me, but the truth may be, I need to communicate the standard more clearly. A thought may say, I'm going to fail, but the truth may be, I'm uncomfortable because I'm growing. That shift matters, because weak questions create weak leadership. If you ask, what's wrong with me? Your mind will find evidence. If you ask, what is this moment trying to develop in me? Now you are leading. Here is a simple way to start reprogramming your mind. I call this practical leadership work. Step 1, catch the sentence. Pay attention to the exact words you keep repeating internally, not the general feeling, the sentence. I'm not good enough. They don't listen to me. I always mess this up. I'm not a real leader. You cannot change what you refuse to name. Step 2, separate fact from story. Ask yourself, is this a fact or is this a feeling? A fact is measurable. A feeling is real, but it is not always reliable. You may feel unqualified, but that does not mean you are unqualified. You may feel disrespected, but that does not mean everyone is against you. You may feel behind, but that does not mean you are finished. Step 3, replace it with a leadership command. Do not just say soft affirmations that you do not believe. Give your mind direction. Say, I lead the next move. I can be calm and clear. I do not need to be perfect to be effective. I can have the hard conversation without losing myself. I am responsible for my response. That is leadership, not hype, but direction. Step 4, take one matching action. This is where most people miss it. You cannot just think differently. You have to move differently. If the new thought is, I lead the next move, then send the message. Schedule the meeting. Prepare the agenda. Set the boundary. Make the decision. Confidence does not come from thinking about confidence. Confidence comes from repeated proof that you can trust yourself. Here is one exercise I give leaders. Stand in front of the mirror. Look yourself in the eyes, not at your shirt, not at your phone, not at the wall behind you. Look yourself in the eyes and say, I am not my worst thought. I am not led by fear. I can be calm, clear, and direct. I lead the next move. Now, some people hear that and say, Mr. Joe, that feels weird. Good. Growth feels weird before it feels normal. Most people are comfortable criticizing themselves, but they feel awkward speaking life into themselves. That tells you how trained the old pattern is. The goal is not to be fake. The goal is to stop rehearsing defeat. Let me make this practical. Before your next meeting, ask yourself, what thought is trying to lead me right now? If the thought is fear, name it. If the thought is insecurity, challenge it. If the thought is anger, slow it down. Then replace it with this. My job is not to be liked in this moment. My job is to lead with clarity. That one sentence can change the room, because when you walk into a meeting needing approval, you negotiate with your own standard. But when you walk in clear, calm, and grounded, people can feel it. That is influence. That is composure. That is leadership. So here is your challenge. For the next 7 days, catch one negative sentence a day. Write it down. Ask, is this fact or feeling? Replace it with a leadership command. Then take one action that proves the new thought. That is how you start reprogramming your mind, not by pretending everything is positive, but by refusing to let fear be the loudest voice in the room. If this hit you personally, drop the word listen in the comments below, or click the link in the description to connect with us directly. Let's start the conversation.